So we're going to make beginner-friendly sourdough baguettes, and they're a nice hydration. They're easy to handle, easy to shape. Awesome if it's your first time making baguettes. I will make a video down the track where I have a higher hydration, but for this video, we're going to keep it nice and simple. I will show you 3 different ways of doing the baguettes. We'll be using the couche, which most people use, and that's the way I do it. But you could also get these bannetons online, and they fit pretty well. And some people like to use this, and I'll show you how to use that too. And that's how they look when they're in there. They're not bad, but I do prefer them threefold, and that will be the main way that we do today. So in my micro bakery, I've built a prover out of an old oven that I'm not really using. I have a video about this on my channel. I like to keep my doughs at 25°C, which is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And the reason why I like to do that is because if I have my dough temperature consistently the same, I will know my timings and my ferment times every time I bake. So I'll get consistent results. But you can use any temperature you want. And if you don't have anything to keep the dough warm, just put it in a warm spot in your bakery. But I'll just show you this quickly. It just has a heating mat in here, which I have a little bit below where the tub will go. It's using a controller that you can set the temperature, and then you can just put it on what you want. And I'll have mine on 25°C. Heating mats there, isn't it? You can use anything to put this mat in, or just like I said before, you can find a warm spot in your house. It's not needed, but this is how I prefer to do my doughs. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our water weighed up. And we're going to have the water very, very warm because we want this dough temperature to stay at 25. And we've got a long Autolyse. So I'm going to add almost all the water now. We're keeping just a small amount aside to mix with the salt a bit later. Even though I'm using a spiral mixer, I like to do an Autolyse. It gives the flour a chance to fully hydrate before we add the starter and the salt. Now my room temperature today is only 16.4 degrees. So it's a bit cold this morning. So this is the flour that I'm using. It's an organic white flour. And if I just turn this around, and it's 12.5% protein. And my flour is 17.8, so it's a bit cold, but that warm water will definitely warm this up. So usually, and I've said this in my other videos, I usually put my ingredients in the prover as well, overnight or a few hours before I bake, so that they're all at 25°C. Unfortunately, I had a mix this morning and I couldn't fit it in there. So using the warm water will help, but I would use the warm water anyway. So I'll put in the flour. And on speed 1, which is my slowest speed, I'll mix this until it's all combined and there's no more flour that's dry. And I'll just say, if you don't have a spiral mixer, you can use a stand mixer. Either one of these are fine. Just make sure that you don't put all the water. Just hold some back, let it build strength, and then add the rest of the water. You might need to scrape it down just a little bit, halfway through. And this might take 2 or 3 minutes. Just scrape it down if you have to. Just another 30 seconds or so. I've still got a little bit of dry there. I don't want that. So I'll just scrape that from the side. I'm going to rest this now between 30 and 60 minutes. And just put a towel over the mixer for the Autolyse. My starter is almost ready to go. So I've still got at least half an hour, but an hour might be too far. So I might only do half an hour Autolyse. So with the sourdough starter, I fed it the night before, a ratio of 1 to 6 to 6. That was 1 part of my starter, 6 parts water, 6 parts flour. I made sure that there was no acidity in my starter. Especially with baguettes, you really want to make sure that your starter is very active. The more active it is, the faster the fermentation will go, and the more oven spring you'll get as well. So if you have any acidity in your starter, try and reduce it by feeding it a little amount, which I have videos about this, but yeah, just try and have a healthy starter that grows 2 times in like 4 hours, and you won't have any problems with this recipe. So it's been about an hour. I end up leaving it for an hour. The starter's still pretty active. And we've already got a bit of strength, but we need to add the starter. Starter is very active at the moment. This is exactly how we want it to be. So the starter is 549 grams. And I'll just put that on the scale. I'll tear it off. I've got a lot of starter here because I'm doing another mix today. So we want 540 of this. So let me just... That's 574. So we're just going to take a little bit out. I use the same edge that I'm pouring from. No, 548, that's fine. Now, on speed 1, I will mix this for about 3 minutes before we add the final part of the water with the salt, which is over here. So that will be about 3 minutes. It's already pouring away pretty nicely. And it's just start pouring away from the sides. Then I'm going to put it up to speed 4 and mix this on a bit of a higher speed while I add a bit of my salt and water. Making sure it's all dissolved in. Add it bit by bit, you don't want to throw too much in at once. And that's it. Make sure that you get all the excess salt out of here. Like so. Now we'll mix this for another minute or two. Now if you have to, just scrape down the bowl a little bit. I'm only going to mix this for another 20 seconds or so. That's it. It's pouring away from the sides. This is exactly how we want it. We don't want to over mix this. So we're going to put this in a tub. Now in my tub that I have nice and oiled, I spray it with olive oil. I will throw the mix into the tub. There's no dry parts on the bottom, which is good. Might be a bit sticky at the bottom, but it's fine. I've got another mix going in here today, so I'm not too bothered about it being perfect. I'm just going to do a quick little stretch and fold on the dough. And there we go, that's how we want it. We don't want to over mix it. It's still smooth. It's only mixed to about 80% in the mixer, and I'll finish it with stretch and folds because you don't want to over mix it. If you over mix it, when you try and shape, the dough will fight back because it's too strong, and we don't want it that strong. So that's how I do it. So I'll put the lid on. You do get a bit of dough on your hands here, one finger on the prover. And I'll put this in here for half an hour, let it relax, and we'll come back. So this is the production sheet, and I have a link to this in the video description. Now for each loaf, it's 183 flour, but we've got 15. So that's where we got the 2,745 grams from. Now I've added the starter at 1120, and I did a dough temp check, and it was 24 degrees at 75.2 degrees Fahrenheit. My first stretch and fold will be at midday, followed by one at 12:30, 1 o'clock, and 1:30. So it's been half an hour since we mixed it in the spiral mixer. You can use the stand mixer too. Just hold back the water. If you're using like a stand mixer, hold back a lot more water, let it build strength, then add more water. Okay, so as you can tell from looking at the dough, it's completely flat. We still need to build up the strength. So I'm gonna grab one corner and just fold it on top of itself. Like so. That dough's looking really good already. We're going to do 3 more every half an hour. So just ignore the eloquent jar in shot. This is for another mix that I'm doing, and I just forgot to remove it from the shot. So the way that we do these baguettes, we're not measuring the growth of the fermentation, so we don't need the eloquent jar. And to keep it nice and warm, I'm going to keep it in here at 25 degrees. And we are at 23.5 degrees Celsius at 74.3 degrees Fahrenheit. We are dropping temperature pretty fast actually. The room is only 18.3. I was hoping it's going to be warmer. It's easier to keep the dough temperature when it's a bit warmer. In winter it's a bit harder, but it's okay. We're going to keep it there. So when we bake these, we're going to be baking 5 on the top, 5 in the middle, and 5 on the bottom on my stone oven, which is the RM 2020. But we'll do the top 10 the normal way, where you put the dough in the couche like so, and then you fold the next one, and you fold the next one. But I do have these that I've had in my garage for a long time. I've never used any of them. And we'll try out 5 of the 15 with using these. So when you shape, you can put them in these bannetons. They're like a baguette shaped of the banneton. And then you can put it in the fridge, and then the next day tip it out. We'll try these. And even this, I've never used it. I have to oil up, make sure it doesn't stick. And we'll bake these on the bottom, and then obviously that's turned out there. So the normal ones top 2, and the experimental ones at the bottom. I'm just going to move this bench back around because that window shines during the day, and then the videos don't look so good because you've got like this, all the glare behind me. So I've put that there. So we're on the second stretch and fold now. Let's get the dough. We've got activity. Do another stretch and fold. I'm just grabbing here, pouring out. Okay. And like so. Hopefully this fridge isn't making too much noise. This is the third stretch and fold. If you look at the dough, we're getting a bit of curve around the edge. Means we're getting good strength. This is the third one, and we might do one more. We will do one more. And stretch. Hold on top of itself. That's it. And the dough is stable at about 22.5. So, and True was on 24. It's grown about 10%. I left the thermometer in the dough. That's all right. You've got a lot of curve going on. So I'm thinking we're going to switch to coil. Coil fold is something you do when you don't want to stretch it and keep building the gluten. You want to build a little bit of gluten with the coil, which you just fold over itself. So what I do is I grab it there and just keep flipping it over itself. So, yeah. So we'll put that in the fridge and leave that overnight, and we will shape it in the morning. And my fridge is on 4 degrees. So it's about 24 hours later. I left it in here for about 24 hours. And I'm gonna pull out the fridge and let's have a look at it. It's looking good. Of course it's cold, it's gonna be tight. We're gonna let it get to room temperature. So what I'm gonna do, and what you should do, is leave it in a warm spot before we shape it. And we're gonna give it about half an hour to an hour to warm up a little bit. So you wanna put it in a warm spot. Obviously I'm gonna put it in my prover that I have set to 25 degrees. I'll put that in there just to soften up a bit before I shape it, before I do a pre-shape, sorry. So it's been about 45 minutes. And I just wanna pre-shape these into 320 gram balls. Still a bit stiff, but that's fine. Just with my hand and scraper. Take this out the tub. Be in the fridge, that's a bit sticky. Get any excess out of the tub. This will come to room temperature a lot faster once I cut it into balls. So at 320, I'll just put it into little balls, like so. Just so they can get to room temperature faster, because it will get to room temperature faster, improve faster, when they're not in a big mass like they are now. And just roll like that. And once I get all these pre-shaped together, like I said, it's going to be stiff until it gets to room temperature completely. Now the reason why I like to only half do the bulk ferment in the fridge instead of shaping it and putting it in the fridge for the next day is that it's so easy to overproof a baguette. So I find it easier to do the proof on the second day. So you do the bulk ferment for like 2 hours, 2 stretch and folds, put it in the fridge, next day, bring it out, get it to room temperature, and then you can mold them and improve them to the size you want, and you're not going to overproof. You can put them in the fridge, like I said, shape them, put them in the fridge, but if you overproof it, you can't go backwards. And that's it. Now we've got 4, 8, 12, 15. And that will be 5 for the top, middle, and the bottom deck of my oven. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these with a lot of flour, because they're going to be sitting here for about half an hour, maybe a bit longer, until they get nice and soft, because they're still pretty cold at the moment. And I'll get a couche and I'll cover them up. Maybe get a second one too. Just cover up so they can warm up and we can shape them soon. So we will be using 2 on this to test it out and 2 in the basket. This is the rice flour that I use. I don't want it to stick to the trays or to each other in the couche. So what I usually do is I will weigh up how much rice flour I have and try and add about the same with flour. Any leftover flour that you have. I really don't want to get my face into it. I'm a little bit allergic to rice flour, so I try and not breathe it in as much as I can. 770 grams of rice flour. So what I would do is, I'll tear that off. I had about another 5 or 6 or maybe 7, which I don't even think I have that much in this bag. I've only got 430, but that's fine. And I will mix that in. That's pretty much like 2/3 rice flour, 1/3 flour. And I'll just use like a whisk, just to whisk it in a bit. So you want to mix it up. And this will just stop it from sticking. If you use flour, it will still stick. So adding a bit of rice flour, because it's gluten-free, it won't stick. So I'll get that ready. That's it, I'll get rid of the scale. Okay. Now, this has been here for about 40 minutes and it's a lot more softer. So I'm going to show you how I shape them. First, I will do them on the trays. So what you get is a couche, because they won't stick, and I'll put it on a tray. Now, I know my oven's about that wide anyway, so it's a good guide. So my baguette is going to be about that length. So what I will do is I'll get the dough, I'll stretch it, I'll fold over about 1/3, push it in a bit, not too much. Then I'll stick it over, seal it. I'll do a few, and we'll get our guide. You won't need the guide when you do it a few times, but just for, just stretch it, and that's about right. Now you want to put it in the rice flour on one side only. like so. If you have to, put a bit on the couche too. That's the first one. This will be the side that we stick on the bottom. So we'll pull that up. Stretch it out again. Go about halfway. Fold it over itself. Just seal it a little bit there. And then just gently, you don't want to knock all the air out. Just roll it out. It will go that way. So that's about the length that we want. And I'll put that next to the other one. Put it in the rice flour first. And put it next to the other one. I'll do it to this one too. Stretch it out to halfway. Now this isn't very high hydration. I usually go a bit higher than this, but because this is a beginner friendly video, the hydration is only 75%. So pour that one up. Stick it in the flour on half only, like so. Stretch it. And just start from the middle and just roll a little bit and then go to the edge. Some people like to go sharp edges. I don't, because then it's just not gonna, you can't really eat that part. So pour this up. The flour. Stretch it out. Don't push too hard when you're doing this. You just want it to stick together. This dough is still a bit cold, so don't forget, this is why it looks a bit more stiff than it is. It will get softer. Don't be fooled by how easy it is to shape. This is why I like to shape it when it's cold. It's easier. Stretch. Stick up on top. It's a lot easier to shape when it's not so warm, but it will soften up. They're already thin, so they will warm up a lot faster than a betard. That's why we can do it like this. And if you've got a seam, make sure it's at the top. And that's it for that tray. Now this one, I'm going to put into these Ballantine, sort of the baguette ones. Cover it in the rice flour to the bottom. And we've got these two that will go in here. Now the ones that we do for this, we don't want it to prove on here. We want to put it on there and then bake it. So we'll leave that to the side until we bake. And I'll put these two Ballantines on the side here. And I'm going to put this in the prover, which is set to 25 degrees, just to keep it warm. Or if you don't have anything like this, put it in a warm spot. Then I got another tray. I've got 6 more. Stretch. Tuck it in. Any bubbles pop. See that seam? It's at the top, if you have one. If you hear air bubbles, it's a really good sign. It means you've got fermentation. And we have 2 more. These are going to take about an hour or 2 to get where we want. And I'll show you how we test. We're going to do a poke test to know when they're ready to bake. That's why I like to prove it at the end, because it's hard to overprove when you're watching it. This is the last one. Stretch. Fold over halfway. Push it so it sticks. Push it over. I'll go from the back. So it sticks over itself. And just roll it. the rice flour. I'll put it on this end here. And I'll fold that over. And I'll put that on the other, on the bottom layer. So now I've got them all in here. And we will leave this for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on when they're ready. We'll do a poke test. So it's been about half an hour, but it's getting ready. It's not bouncing back fast, it's bouncing back slowly. We just want to make it so that, we just want to get it just right. So just when it's leaving an indent, but not too deep. We're going to leave that another half an hour. Now I've got my oven set to 230 degrees. I don't want to go too hot, because if it's too hot, it will get a skin and they won't grow to their full extent. So 230 is a great temperature. So it's been about an hour, a little bit over an hour. And they are ready. They are ready to go. If I bounce it, if I press it, they're leaving a little bit of an indent. So we're going to pull them out. Put these ones over here for now. I'll do those last. And we've got the second tray here. So first, I'm going to put them on the board. So I'm going 5 per board. So what I like to do is I just use 2 scrapers, holding them together. So I flip it onto the paddle. I put one in the middle. So put one there. And what I'm doing is I'm rolling it back down, so the seam's on the bottom again. That, and then I'm putting it on, and then dropping it down. That's how I do it. And we want 5 per board. So I'm flipping it over, whoop, and just straighten it up with the scraper. And you see how they're still leaving an indent. So let me just get these boards ready. I'll put this one to the side. Get my second board. Then I'll get this one, last one. And try and aim, if you want to do like I do sometimes, I'll put the first one in the middle first. So. Now we've got these ones. And I'll just pour it out, pour it on, and put it on the board. It's not high hydration, so it's not going to be too much. It's not going to be too sticky. And that's the second tray. And I'll put this somewhere else. Now, I also want to do the one that I put in these trays and straighten that up in there. So, and the last one, I'll put that in there too. Just straighten up if you have to. That's in there. We'll put these on the bottom, so we'll empty this one out. It's got a nice pattern. One in the bannetons. And we'll put that one in the middle. They look kind of the same in the banneton. We've got the last one. We just have to remember this was not in the banneton. Because when we bake it, this is going to go beside. All right. I just fold these up again. And I like to put, because they're a bit wet, I'll just stick them on top of the oven. Show you how I score them. There's multiple ways to score these. What we do is, we start on this one here, on the top, the first one. I'm gonna start with the first one. I'll go at a 45-degree angle, and just as that one ends, and go a bit deep. Like so. You can go downwards too. like so. I'll do the same with these ones. This one's a bit crooked, straighten them up. And the one that's the same as those, we'll just put one down the middle. And for this one that we had in the Benetton, same thing. And also this one here, we'll be putting in separate on the side. Just put them in the oven. Now we've got to get the steam ready, which I already have to go because we want to steam a lot. And we'll open this up. Check the temperature. I'm sitting on about 238, 8 degrees higher than I want to be, but it will drop temperature once I put them in. So I'll just put this on. And I'll put these ones just on the stone next to them. And now I'm going to steam this as much as I can. I'm steaming a lot here. And I'm going to bake that for 20 minutes, first of all, and then have a look and see how they go. So it's been 20 minutes. I'm going to release the steam. And I want to give them another 8 or so minutes because I really want them to get a nice color. You could pour them out now if you wanted, but I want to go a bit darker. So 5 or 8 minutes. So I'll pour these out. And this is the one in the tray, which turned out not too bad either. I'll just leave that in the oven to cool down. And these two are the ones that were in the Banettons. And these two are the ones that were in the Benetton. And this was the other one that was shaped too. So we'll let these cool down. And this is how they look cut. Very nice and open. I'm just about to eat these. I'm gonna make a sandwich, but yeah, they're looking really, really good. That's what you want. You don't wanna go too high on the water and not too low, and you'll get a nice crumb like this. If you wanna go open, you can increase the water, but this is the crumb that I like. And I just wanna say thank you for everyone who watches my videos. I hit 1 million views a few days ago, which I'm shocked. I never thought I'd hit that much. So I really appreciate you guys supporting my channel. And if you have any questions about the baguettes and you need more help, you can either post in the comments or go to the Facebook group or the YouTube group, and you can post your pictures there and ask for support as well. So, and I'll see you in the next video.